Hello, everybody. So I wanted to talk about taking an exam online. Maybe you have done this before, maybe you haven't. Maybe you've had professors who didn't proctor. All right. So just so you understand, um, this is a very sensitive environment. And I even have a Word document written up about it. So I'm sharing that right now. Um, what you're allowed 2 sheets of paper. When you do your environmental scan, make sure to show me, hey, here, nothing's written on it. Nothing's written on it, right? No notes are allowed. Um, you can do work on that paper. I just need to warn you, if you want your partial credit, you're gonna have to type that in to the exam. And I'll show you roughly what that'll be like. You have a video, you have a sample test, Respondus test, where I have a multiple choice question and a couple of workout questions. So you'll be able to see how the processor within Blackboard Ultra works. Unfortunately, for me, when I was working through it, I couldn't use the tab key to make journal entries in format. So work with it, see how it works. You might just have to do spacing for the journal entries. Um, you need to have a non-graphing calculator and you need to show it to me, right? During the environmental scan. If you have a graphing calculator and you take the test, we're going to have issues. Not going to count. Aside from that computer, you should have nothing else in your testing area that's a digital device. No phone, no tablet, no other computer. Um, Definitely do not talk much. I understand sometimes we talk to ourselves. I do when I'm working through something. However, reading questions word for word, a little suspicious, as if you're recording this somewhere in the room and might give that to the next person who takes the test. That would be kind of silly anyway, because I grade on a curve. And so you're helping somebody else at your detriment. That's not a wise choice. You have to have a valid identification, all right? We have found people who are hiring others to take tests for them. This is not allowed. Show me either your student ID or your driver's license, and then I can match it to your face. And finally, you can't leave the room. You have to stay and take the entire test, 90 minutes. Make sure that you're not going to be disturbed. Make sure that no one in your house is hogging the bandwidth. Right? If someone's playing some hugely data intensive game or streaming, it could mess your connection up and boot you from the exam. Now, the environmental scan. You're going to have to do an environmental scan, and I need it to be thorough. I need it to be slow. I need to see where you're taking the exam. So you're going to do a 360 of the room, basically, taking my computer as the example. Look, show me your desk space, right? Mine is going to fail the environmental scan because I have a computer off to the side. I have tons of notes. I have an iPhone, not going to work. So your space should be blank. But, show me the room. Show me what you're seeing, what you're working with, even the floor, because I don't want you putting things on the floor, right? This is a part of taking an online test, securing the test environment, and also say hello to my dog. Nothing else is underneath the desk. Show me under the desk. All right. Your environmental scan should be thorough. If it's not thorough, I'll give you a warning on the first test. Unless I see other activity during the test that would tell me, hey, this person's cheating, I'll let you off with a warning. But make sure you get that next environmental scan definitely on point. Once you started the exam, you're going to have to complete it. You can't step away, you can't close it out. If you close it out, it'll submit. If this happens to you by accident, maybe you drop your internet connection, do not close the browser window, right? But if your internet connection drops and you have to restart the test, email me. If you have not accessed any questions beyond the ones that you've already finished and submitted answers to, I can restart the test for you and add your two scores together. But if you have looked at the entire test, and I can tell if you have, I will not restart the exam for you. All right. You've already seen all the questions. I probably will not be able to respond instantaneously to your emails because I'll be up at campus teaching a class, giving an exam there, conducting office hours. There'll be some things that will keep me from necessarily being on my email all the way through the end of the night, right? You will have from 6 a.m. to 11:59 p.m. to begin the exam. Make sure that you begin it within that window, or else you won't be able to take it. My advice, don't wait until 10 p.m. because I'll certainly be asleep at that point. All right. Those are the basic ground rules, the environmental scan. Now, a couple of tips, a couple of suggestions. And again, I'm going to want to, I'm sorry, I noticed that that was not pinned when I did my environmental scan, but I think you get the picture. Slow, steady, make sure I see everything. Um, let's see. Now, actually, did not want to stop sharing. I wanted to share. So let's say that we have a question on the exam, and the question is just asking you or telling you that the company did, trying to think of what, the company paid $10,000 for a 10-month rent agreement covering rent next 10 months. Very repetitive, very poorly worded. Anyway, now I'm asking for the adjusting entry. If rent agreement paid on August 1st. All right, so now we have our question. In order to make that response, you're going to want to show me some work ways, right? This one's pretty simple. I just made the math pretty simple. All right, I have a $10,000 rent agreement and it's going to last for 10 months. And that equals $1,000 per month times how many months between August and the end of the year? August, September, October, November, December, 5 months, equals $5,000. So show me these calculations. If, for example, you have the right per month, but then you counted 4 months, right, instead of five, well, then I can take off fewer points if I see your math, if I see why you got it wrong. If you just get it wrong and don't show me the reasoning behind your numbers, I'll take the full credit instead of just taking partial off. When you're expressing your entry, make absolutely certain that debits and credits are distinguished. So in this case, I would need to recognize rent expense for, and I'm just spacing like you might have to in the testing field, $5,000. Then I space at least five and do prepaid insurance. And then again, space, don't worry if the period inserts 5,000. Notice that I have an indentation here. That shows that I'm crediting that account. I also have spaced out the debit and the credit amounts, which on this test might not be such a big deal, but on future tests, you'll have multiple debits and credits, making sure that I know what you're debiting and what you're crediting. The debits should be right up against the margin, and the debit amounts should be in a separate plane or place or column, if you will, an invisible column than your credit adjustment is. And your credited account again should have at least a 5-space indent. Right? I will give credit if you can't make the calculation. Ooh, I don't know. It's like, oh, I don't know what that is, right? Well, fine. Leave that blank, but give me the accounts. Then I can give you some partial credit for knowing what accounts to adjust. I'm sorry, I said prepaid insurance, prepaid rent. I wouldn't count off for something silly like that, honestly. Um, Prepaid rent, right? Now I have these two accounts. At least I get a couple points for that, even if I don't get the few points that are allotted to the calculation. And then for every question that you make a journal entry, I am going to ask what effect it had to assets, liabilities, net income, equity. In this case, rent expense decreases net income. In this case, a credit to prepaid rent decreases assets. Those are more points. So you don't even have to do the calculation to get some points on these questions. Just make sure your work is as detailed and thorough as possible. Because it takes time to type in these responses and to show your math in that way, I'm giving you an extra 15 minutes on this exam than my in-class has. Will be the same exam. So make sure that you test this. Go to the Respondus video quiz. If you take it before the exam, I'll give you 2 bonus points so that you know what this testing environment will be like. You don't even have to get them right. I hope you do. They're not terribly hard, but you don't have to get them right. Anything else I can think of? Like I mentioned, you're going to see these one question at a time. Make sure you answer one question at a time. You don't skip ahead. The reason, again, if you skip ahead and look through all the questions, I can't restart the test for you if something bad happens. You're going to have to take what you got. Right? Um, just additional study issues, study tips. Like I mentioned in my announcement, don't just do the Connect assignments and assume you're good. Connect tends to have only easier questions. My exam will have easy, medium, and difficult questions, right? The most medium and a fair amount of easy and some difficult questions. In order to get a better feel for that, I really suggest you look at those chapter study problems. I suggested it in an announcement over the weekend. I have them specifically listed in the review checklist for different objectives. This example from this set of study problems addresses that objective. So go through and work some. You don't have to work them all, just work them to see how comfortable you are with them. I would suggest doing them without notes because you're not going to have notes available to you on the test. Once you finish, the exam's over, you can close it, we're all done. If you have any questions about this, just please let me know. You have tonight, tomorrow, and up to the point that you begin the test to ask and to figure some more stuff out. But definitely, please work those chapter study problems, apply all the stuff we've learned, and hopefully the exam will go well for you.